The purpose of this demo is to demonstrate the ability of the Newbound Content Management System to interact with backend systems like a relational database management system. So we're going to display a quick survey, which is database driven. We'll pull the question and potential answers out of the database, let the user choose one, and then after they've voted, we'll display the tally of results of everybody who's voted so far. To do this, we're going to create a JSP section that we can add into any page. Call that survey JSP, and on that page we'll add some server-side Java. Basically what this does is initialize the page and provides us with a JDBC connection to the database as well as the user's ID. The user's ID is to identify whether the user has voted before. We only let people vote once. Now we're going to add some more server-side Java that retrieves the question from the database and displays it. Basically, what we're doing is we're creating a query, selecting the question from the survey table, and we're displaying it. And finally, we're going to add some more server-side Java that basically wraps up our page. Basically what this does is senses if anything's gone awry, it prints an error message so that we can debug it. Now let's add in the section for the answers. So let's go back to our original JSP and add in some more code that displays the individual answers to our survey question. We're going to go ahead and put this in its own section because once the user has voted, we don't really want to display this, and so we're going to encapsulate it in its own little section, which we'll call the pre-vote section. Basically, what this does is it queries the database and sets the Boolean voted to whether or not there are any votes by this user for this survey. Now let's add the actual questions. If we go over to our test page and click preview, we now have a question with 3 potential answers. So now let's go ahead back to our original JSP and add a button so that people can vote. And let's add a little JavaScript to handle that mouse click. All right, now if we were to click on our little vote button here, we would be sorely disappointed because we haven't added any server-side Java to handle that. So let's go ahead and add that in real quick. We need to position this up early so that basically if we are registering their vote, we need to do that before we tally up the votes to display what the result is. So here all we're doing is if we did get an answer, we're updating, we're inserting into the vote table. So let's go ahead and vote for red. Okay, well, it has successfully tallied our vote, but it's not displaying anything because we haven't told it what to do in the case where the user has already voted. So let's go ahead and add a section for the results, and we'll go ahead and add some code in there to build our result table. Now should be able to view our results. So let's go into our database and clear it, update all of the votes so that the user ID is an X and therefore not my user ID, and go back to our results and refresh, and now we get to vote again. So do we still like red? How about blue this time?